Hi everyone, it's Lorene here, Olive Tree Genealogy. I was just outside cutting. Hi Helena, nice to see you here. Send me lots of hearts, Helena. That's my mother-in-law. I get to ask her to send me hearts. I'm just inside after going outside and cutting most of my herbs, and those of you who watched me doing that saw that we had a little technical issue with my camera falling to the ground, but anyway, everything's fine. I've brought my herbs in and I'm ready to start tying them and hang them up to dry, so I want to show you how I do it. Let's see if we can get this. There we go. Okay, now I already pre-hung a couple. As I mentioned on my first video when I was outside, whoops, when I have marjoram and oregano. I can tell them apart when they're fresh, both by the appearance and the smell, but once they dry, I have trouble telling them apart. So what I like to do is just put, this is one clump of oregano, so I like to put a little sign with one of them, and then I make sure that when I hang them, all the oregano is hung on the same bar. I'll just show you. And then I've also done, oops, one for marjoram, and I put a little sign up so you could see. Oh, besides having the olivetreegenealogy.com blog and website, I also, thank you very much for those hearts, appreciate it. I also have a cooking blog, olliesyummyinyourtummy.blogspot.com. So yeah, if you want to check it out. I don't post on it every week, but I do when I have the opportunity. So first thing you do, because I like to hang mine, you got to cut your string. It's a little fussy. I'm gonna take I'm gonna take some sage. Changed my mind. This is the sage. It's quite long. Big bundles. So I might cut some of it. Now you do have to go through and take off any leaves that are no good. Maybe the bugs got at them. Maybe they dried out. Let's see if I can tip this a little more. You know, you give them a check. Take off any leaves that don't look right. I like to get my bundles or with stems that are about the same length. So there, whoops, don't like the look of that leaf. I don't know if you can see, it's got a little mark on it. I shake them, shake off any loose dirt. I don't wash mine. A lot of people do wash theirs ahead of time. I don't. Okay, and we'll just break that little curve off. And then you just basically, it's pretty easy, it's just fidgety. You're gonna, can you see? I'm not sure. I'll put it here. Just wrap your string around a couple of times. This part's hard for me. I have arthritis. My hands are kind of clumsy. But my husband hates doing this, so I kind of have to do it. There. And then in a knot, you tie it really tight because as the herbs dry, they'll shrink. And if you don't tie it tight, they'll fall off the string. Then I'm going to make a little, hopefully, knot in the top so that I have a loop. Then I'm going to be able to hang these on the nice drying rack that I have. It's an antique Mennonite drying rack. And I had my husband bring it in, or not bring it in, but bring it to the sunroom from the mudroom where it's hung for many, many years because it really wasn't getting much use there, and it will get a lot more use in here. I like to hang my herbs to dry. I like to smell them. I like to see them. You can hang them and protect them from the dust by putting them inside a paper bag. I don't like that method because you have to cut holes in the paper bag. You have to make sure that there's lots of air circulation in through that bag. I don't know. And you can't see them. You just see a bunch of paper bags hanging there. I don't think that's very pretty. So, okay, I just got one more. I might as well fasten that too. Didn't cut as much sage. So I'll just do a couple of these and then I'll show you how I'm going to actually hang them. I think my dog just joined us. I don't know if you could see him. And by the way, if you want to give me hearts, you just double tap your screen. Hearts are important. They not only let me know that you're there and listening, because you're never sure, but then hopefully you're enjoying what you're seeing. And it also helps your ranking on Periscope. And ranking's always important. Okay, so I have another bundle. Now, the trick is, can I get these over to the drying rack to show you what I'm going to do? Well, we'll try. I'm going to have to carry the camera and this. We'll see how that goes. Bear with me. Things are moving. What's the other thing I was going to say? Yeah, and there's other ways you can dry your herbs. And I don't know if you can see the drying rack. Hopefully I don't drop anything trying to show you this. So I'm going to turn it the other way. And then I think, yeah, there we go. Now you can see the drying rack. And I'm going to attempt to climb up the ladder. I should have had my husband here. And hang these without falling. And still allow you to see what I'm doing. This is tricky. Oh, I think that works. That's not bad. So, as I was saying, there's other ways of drying herbs. You can dry them in the oven. I don't really like that method, but you can do it. You can dry them in a dehydrator. Those aren't my favorite methods, but they're all workable. So this is basically what is going to happen. I'm going to slide them along. I hope you can see that. I'm going to get down and see if you can. Yeah, you can kind of see what I'm doing. Oh, those hearts are so great. So that's what I'm going to be doing. So by the time I'm done, that rack should be full of herbs that are going to look good and smell good. And then once they're dry, and it takes about a month, sometimes longer, once they're dry, you store them in something like this. I store mine in these jars. Turn it again, see if we can get it so you can, so I have a hand. These are stored from last year. This is thyme, and with thyme I don't bother peeling it off after it's dried. I just store them like this. Then when I want to use them, I take out what I want, and it's pretty easy just to strip the leaves off because you don't want that woody stem. It's really not as time consuming as it might look. So I store them in jars like this, and then you keep them in a dry, dark place. They'll last forever. I still have sage from about 4 years ago, and it's just as fresh. It's just as good. So if you've never cooked with fresh herbs, you should try it. Try it. You might really, really find that you like it. It's way nicer than store-bought. That's rosemary, by the way. I hope you can see it. I've got the camera at a strange angle. So I'm just going to tie a little bit of rosemary. I usually do the oh wow, lots of hearts. This is so cool. I usually do the rosemary last because it is so sticky. It gets all over your hands. You can hardly work anything. But I'll tie a little bit now just so you can kind of see what it's going to look like. Get my little containers here. Spatial ability, hard for me to manipulate the tubs and know where they need to be so you can see into them. So, how many of you here grow your own herbs? Just either type yes or, whoops, into your into your field where you can type or send me a heart. Let me know. I can see the screen. Anybody here grow their own herbs and dry them? No, doesn't look like it. Every year I think, oh, I'm going to hang them on something nicer instead of string. Oh, somebody's typing. You go to the market? Okay, yeah, nothing wrong with that. Anyway, every year I say to my husband, I'm going to hang my herbs on something prettier than string. You know, maybe I'll use some nice ribbon. I'll figure out some new method. Maybe I'll use colorful clothes pegs. And I think about it and I look things up and I try to work it out, and I always end up going back to the string. It's just simpler, less work, suits me better. Oh, I've also got chives growing out in a different garden. And I'm going to have to get my husband to pick those for me because they're in with my rhubarb, and it's pretty wild out there, and it's hard for me to crouch and far enough over to pick stuff that's grown in the ground. I grow my herbs in planter boxes on our deck so that I can water them and weed them as necessary. But anyway, I'm going to get my husband to pick the chives. And chives, like parsley, are not something that I've had great success with drying. But I know you can do it, and I'm determined that one year I'll hit on the magic solution for how to do it. So this year I'm going to try with my chives, I'm going to try laying them out on parchment paper on a baking tray. Thank you again for all those great hearts. I'm going to lay them out on parchment paper on a baking tray, and I'm actually going to try dehydrating them on the lowest heat possible in my oven. Not convinced it's going to work, but I am going to try because I don't think there's anything nicer than chives with sour cream and a baked potato. They're amazing. Okay, and then there's my sticky rosemary done and ready to go up. And for anybody that joined late, I'll just take it over here again and just show you again how it's going to work, where it's going to go. I need to flip this around. There we go. It's going to go up there. Set this down and climb up again. Hope I don't fall. And hang it. And there we go. So, and that's what's going to happen. I'm going to end up with that drying rack pretty full of herbs. So, thank you again. Great hearts, love it. So once again, for those who don't know me, I'm Lorene.com. Visit my website, visit my sister blog, visit my recipe blog if you want. Ollie's Yummy in Your Tummy.blogspot.com. Sounds like a strange name, but my son came up with that name, so that's what I've used. And thank you very, very much for the hearts and for coming out to watch me tie my herbs this morning. And I'll chat with everyone later. Bye-bye for now.